The Curtiss Jenny series, notably the JN3 and JN4 models, played a pivotal role in the evolution of American military aviation, primarily due to its extensive use as a training aircraft. During World War I, the Jenny became the backbone of U.S. pilot training programs. It was here that the Jenny's greatest contribution was made, preparing thousands of pilots for aerial combat. The Jenny's design was relatively simple, making it an ideal training aircraft. Its forgiving flight characteristics allowed novice pilots to safely learn the basics of flight control and navigation. Moreover, the widespread use of the Jenny fostered a significant expansion of the U.S. aviation infrastructure, including the establishment of numerous airfields and the development of aviation maintenance and support services. This expansion laid the groundwork for the rapid growth of American military and civilian aviation in the post-war years. Let's take a closer look at the Jenny and its pivotal role in military aviation history. In the early stages of aviation development in 1914, Glenn Curtiss, a prominent figure in the field, recognized the limitations of the pusher aircraft and the superiority of European tractor designs. Seeking inspiration, Curtiss journeyed to England, where he encountered Benjamin Douglas Thomas, a talented young engineer at the Sopwith Aviation Company. Thomas was commissioned by Curtiss to design a tractor airplane, leading to the creation of the Model J. This model, which later played a role in the development of the H-1 America, first took to the skies on May 10, 1914, reaching a remarkable speed of 85 miles per hour, a record for aircraft in the United States at the time. Concurrently, Curtiss was developing his own tractor design, the Model N. The culmination of these efforts resulted in a hybrid model that merged the optimal features of both the Curtiss J and N models. Despite the ongoing production of the Model N, the J model was eventually phased out in favor of the JN, commonly known as the Jenny. Contrary to its seemingly gentle appearance, the Jenny was the first American airplane to participate in warfare. The year 1916 saw Pancho Villa lead an incursion into Columbus, New Mexico, targeting the U.S. 13th Cavalry Regiment. Villa's forces seized military assets and inflicted considerable damage on the town. In retaliation, President Wilson dispatched 5,000 troops under General John J. Pershing, initiating the 1916-17 punitive expedition into Mexico. During this campaign, JN-3s, flying from Brownsville, Texas, served as border patrol aircraft, with the 1st Aero Squadron providing vital aerial reconnaissance. However, logistical challenges impeded the mission, and Villa eluded capture. The use of the 1st Aero Squadron in Mexico highlighted significant issues with the JN-2s, including mechanical failures and poor handling. Pilots often refused to fly them, citing uncontrollable behavior. One JN-2 underwent wind tunnel testing at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, confirming its instability. In a bid to salvage his reputation, Curtiss introduced modifications to the JN-2s, such as a new wing design, larger tail surface, and new engines, resulting in the JN-3. However, these changes, while beneficial in some respects, significantly reduced the aircraft's operational ceiling, hindering efforts to pursue Villa in the Sierra Mountains. The early Jennies utilized a shoulder yoke for aileron control, but subsequent modifications to the JN-3 included the Depedusin control system, which introduced a control wheel for the ailerons and a footbar for the rudder. Despite these improvements, the Jenny was outperformed by contemporary European fighters. It found its niche as a primary trainer for American and Canadian forces during World War I, with the majority of pilots from these countries receiving part of their training in a Jenny. By the time the US entered the war in 1917, the Jenny had evolved into the JN-4D model, the most extensively produced variant, equipped with the Curtiss OX-5 engine. The Canadian-built JN-4, known as the Canuck, introduced the control stick system and incorporated several new features, such as ailerons on the upper wings, cutouts in the lower wing to enhance visibility, and a 6-degree downthrust in the Curtiss OX-5 engine. The post-war era, particularly from 1920 to 1926, is often referred to as the Jenny era, marked by the widespread use of surplus Jennies by military pilots and aviation enthusiasts in flying circuses and as barnstormers. The JN-4, favored for its suitability for wing walking, became a symbol of this period. However, the introduction of more efficient aircraft like the Curtiss Hawk and new regulations for airworthiness, maintenance, and pilot licensing in 1927 marked the decline of the Jenny, rendering it obsolete by 1930. It was only in the 1950s, with the rise of the vintage airplane movement, that the Jenny regained some popularity, operating under experimental license status. The Curtiss N9, a seaplane variant of the JN-4B, was another notable model. As a military trainer during World War I, it featured a central pontoon, larger tail surfaces, a longer fuselage, and a widened wingspan. The N9 initially used the 100-horsepower P. Curtiss OX-X engine, with most units powered by the 150 HP Wright Hispano engine. The U.S. Navy was its primary operator. Another variant was the Twin JN, a larger twin-engine version of the JN-4. It saw brief service on the Mexican border in 1916. Despite its British origins, the Curtiss Jenny is as quintessentially American as apple pie, and stands as one of the most iconic aircraft produced by the Curtiss Aeroplane and Motor Company, with over 10,000 units built by the end of World War I.